In the middle of the Indian Ocean, this dip is called Tremlin Island. It was so strong that it can be called the seabed. In 1761, about 100 people were captured and thrown into this dip. What happened to them? Did they manage to stay in one dip in the middle of the sea? Or did they float away? Let's find out today about the most horrific event in the history of the world. The Heartbreaker was born in the early years of 1761. At that time, the Americans were seen with very small eyes. It is said that they were not regarded as humans, and that's why the white-haired people sold them as slaves. At that time, it was decided to buy and sell slaves in France. At that time, a ship of 32 French members was going from Madagascar to Mauritius. At that time, these two dips were under the French colony. At that time, various French businesses and companies bought and sold slaves in Madagascar and Mauritius. But at that time, it was decided to buy and sell some kind of slaves in France. But even after such a decision, many French businessmen hid the slaves on the seabed and bought and sold them. That's why about 107 people were taken away by the ship. But there was a small dip in the middle of the seabed, Tremolin Island. Suddenly, the captain of the ship, who was in Mauritius, and the passengers were fighting over the wrong way. Seeing all this, the captain also became a stranger. The situation worsened, and the sea became turbulent. It was dark at night, so nothing was visible in front of him. Suddenly, the ship came close to the Tremlin Island and started sinking. Most of the passengers and some crew members could come out, but many of them drowned with the ship and died. And the rest of them got up on the Tremlin Island and took refuge. Among them were 80 crew members, the captain of the ship and the crew of the ship. Among them, many of the drowning ships gave up a lot of food and shelter. And in a sad way, they showed some problems in distributing this food. The people started to get very angry. To solve this, a person named Warney certainly helped the captain. As a result, the situation of the people began to worsen. But even after that, this person named Warney gathered all the people on the island and decided to build a small ship so that they can leave this island. Of course, they are capable of building a ship. But even if the ship was built, all the French citizens of Saint-Chamberlain refused at first. The capacity of that ship was only 122 people, and there were about 80 people left on the island. They were all lovers of Saint-Chamberlain. But Warney promised to send a commercial ship for them and set out for Mauritius. Finally, 4 days later, the ship arrived in Mauritius. Here, Warney and the captain of the ship met with the governor. They told the local governor about the corona situation of Tremolin Deep and told him to send a commercial ship. But the governor was unhappy with him because the captain and Warney took the ship against the law. Apart from that, there was a war between France and Britain for 7 years. As a result, France's economic situation was very bad. That's why they didn't send any ship again and again. At the end of the war, the French government decided to send a ship to Tremolin Deep to rescue the trapped people. In the end, 2 ships were sent to Tremolin Deep in 1775. One of the ships was to rescue the trapped people, and the other ship was sent to see how they were doing. The first ship was sent to find out about the situation of the trapped people. The ship came to know that they were still sold. But at that time, the sea was very turbulent, so it was not possible to rescue the trapped people on that ship. Then, in 1976, a man named Tremolin arrived at Tremolin Deep with his own ship and started the rescue work of the trapped people there. Tremolin was named after those people. Unfortunately, after so many years, when he arrived there, only 8 out of the 80 people there were sold. Out of the 8 people, 7 were women and 1 was an 8-year-old boy. Tremolin and all his friends were wondering how these 8 people had been sold alone on this deserted island for 15 years. Those who had been sold knew that they could have been sold for 15 years just for a fire. Unbelievably, for 15 years, they had lit one or the other fire on that island. They never let that fire go out. And this fire was the only way to keep them fighting for so many years. They never let that fire go out in various weather conditions. Rain, rain. In other words, after being sold from the ship, the captain of the sinking ship lit that fire first. There was no fruit or crop to eat on that island. So the trapped 80 people had arranged their food from the sea. They first caught crabs and fish from the sea, and then they ate them on fire. And there was a well dug for water there from the beginning, so they never had to struggle for food or water. The thing is, these 80 people nev